Two parts to our mallet. We're going to do a glue lamb mallet head. 3 inches by 5 inches with a 5-degree bevel on each. Make sure you do a laser engrave on the mallet head. And then on the handle, we're going to cut a tenon to fit into the mallet head. So we're cutting a mortise hole inside the mallet head and a tenon on the handle to make our wood mallet. There are a couple of different ways to make a tenon. You could, of course, use hand tools to make a tenon. That's a great way to do it. But the tenon, the whole point of a tenon is that it has shoulders on it like this to give it lateral support. So a tenon is a really good joint to have because as you hit this hammer, you don't want it to break, and the tenon gives it support with this shoulder on the backside. So this thing can't move and twist, and it would have to crush that wood. So that's why mortise and tenon joint's correct. One really cool way to cut a tenon is with woodpecker's coping sled. So I have my mallet handle in here. The coping sled travels on this plastic guard up against the fence. I set that blade, the cutter up to the right height, and then everything's going to stay square. So I'm going to turn it on. I'm not too worried about how wide my tenon is or how deep it is. I do want them all consistent, and what's really important is that the whole thing's symmetrical. But with a coping sled like this, it's easy to make it symmetrical because I'm just going to loosen it up, pull out my board with no change in adjustments. I reverse it and it'll guarantee symmetry. So I'll slide that in. Depth is set off my fence. Tighten those up. There's really nowhere this could go. The other thing I could do too is put a sacrificial board on the back to prevent chipping. That's always a good thing to do. And we'll run the other one. So this is a really good technique if you're building cope and stick cabinet door, or if you're building raised panel doors. Usually use cope and stick, and this coping sled works well for that. Here's your tenon, then you cut the mortise to match. Okay, then the second way to cut a tenon, or not the second, another way to cut a tenon is to use a table saw and a tenoning jig like this. It's really the exact same thing as a coping sled, but now my handle's staying straight up and I'm cutting the end grain with the blade height. So the way I set the height of my tenon is through my blade height. So it's like this, 3/4 of an inch or so. This goes into the tenoning jig, has to be square against this face and this black face here. So it has to be square in both planes. I clamp it down tight. There's a little more play in this than there is in that coping sled, and it's a little bit slower. I bring it up through these adjustments here, and I'm just going to take off about 1/8 of an inch, a little bit more. Make sure this is locked in place, this is locked, everything's nice and tight. These are my two handles. I have my splitter in on my blade, glass is on. Then again, I'm not too worried about how much I take off, but I am concerned that it's symmetrical. But because I'm not changing any adjustments and I reverse this, it'll be guaranteed to be symmetrical. Okay. So you can cut your tenons with hand saws and chisels. That's a great way to do it. You could use woodpecker's coping sled on that woodpecker's table, or you could use the tenoning jig on a table saw. Without a doubt, the cleanest, the easiest, most accurate is that woodpecker's coping sled. All right, so that's how a couple different ways to cut a tenon.